Life Over Coffee. Conversations for Transformation.
Hello everyone, this is Rick Thomas with Life Over Coffee, and this is day number 23 if you've been following along. I'm going through my devotional. It's titled Living Boldly. It is a 31-day devotional for young adults. This is day 23, and the title of it is The First Step Before You Start. Now, I want to talk about discipling others. And of course, discipling others, there is a sequence involved. You could think of it like a linkage in a chain, which that begs the question, if discipling and caring for others are links in a chain, then what is the first link? Well, I want to talk about the first link, or as I've titled it here in day 23, the first step before you start. So an essential first step in discipleship is how you view others. And I want you to think about that. Maybe that did not come to mind when I was saying these things, but perhaps you could think about it this way. You have somebody that you're going to disciple, but you're angry at them, frustrated with them, annoyed by them. You're disappointed in them. If your disappointment in people is greater than your desire to help them, then your ability to disciple effectively will run into many hindrances. Jesus has some strong language for those who made the log speck mistake. You remember what he said in Matthew 7. I'll share it with you in just a moment. But the log in your eye and the speck in the other person's eye, we can get that reversed, where I got the speck in my eye, they have the log in their eye, meaning they are far worse off than I am. Once we reverse the log and speck, we're going to be in a heap of trouble. This is what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7, verses 3, 4, and 5. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there is the log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. And so how do you think about others? How you think about others actually shapes the quality of the care that you're going to provide for others. Now, Jesus did use the analogy of the log and the speck in our eyes to highlight the importance of humility in relationships. And so before helping someone with whatever their struggle may be, you must address your sin, if there's any there. I'm not saying that there is, but if there is, you have to address that sin adequately and effectually. That's why this devotional, day 23, the first step before you start, because you can't step into helping somebody when you haven't effectively addressed your heart. So this worldview, it isn't just a metaphor of log and speck. It's not just about wood, it's actually a heart check. Discipleship flows best from a place of humility, where you see yourself as a fellow traveler on the path to becoming like Christ, not as someone who has arrived, not as someone who is higher than others. Dear Lord, I thank you that I'm not like that person down there. No, we haven't gotten there and we're just waiting on others to get where we are because we're so wonderful. That kind of attitude is going to complicate any kind of care that you hope to provide. Perhaps these questions will help you to assess your readiness for discipleship. So before you begin discipleship, start here. Maybe these questions will help you to start well. Number one, do you consider yourself better than the person who needs your input? If so, then pride may be clouding your ability to offer genuine care. If so, then you must descend from your lofty perch so that you might serve them. Number two, does your care for your family members or friends, does it feel like looking down on them? You will be able to tell that by your tone. Your attitude comes across. If it comes across as condescending, it can hurt the relationship and it can hurt your witness. And if you then start to care for them, but you have a lofty attitude toward them, you're not going to be able to accomplish what you hope. Number three, are you impatient with those who have yet arrived to where you are spiritually? We have to remember that growth takes time, and everyone's journey is different. Patience and grace are absolutely essential. The person who views himself as a servant of all is best positioned to help others grow. Jesus modeled this servant-heartedness perfectly, and we're called to follow his example. In fact, you read in Mark 10:45 where he says, I didn't come here to be served. I came here to serve. And so the practical question that I'm asking you, you could say it this way. This is the way we talk about it around here at Life Over Coffee. Who is the biggest sinner in the room? If you do not see yourself as the foremost sinner, like the great Apostle Paul, then I recommend that you work on your heart first before you address others. Now, what I mean by the biggest sinner in the room, again, think about it this way, because again, this is what Paul said. I am the chief of sinners. At the end of his life, he saw himself as the foremost sinner because he was more focused on what he did to Christ than what others have done for him. If we lose that gospel, if the cross of Christ is not in our sight lines appropriately, then we'll become less focused on what we did to God and more focused on what other people have done for us. And then the next thing that's going to happen is that the log and the speck is going to be in reverse. We never want to forget, as Paul said, I am the foremost sinner. Or the way we say it, euphemistically, I am the biggest sinner in the room. That calibrates the heart to work with other sinners. This is day 23, the first step before you start. From my book, Living Boldly, a 31-day devotional for young adults.
Thanks for joining us. Learn more and get access to other resources at lifeovercoffee.com.